Right now, picture yourself asleep, completely out, drooling on the pillow, zero awareness of anything around you. By every biological measure, you are helpless. Now picture it somewhere else. A thin sheet of nylon. That's the only thing between you and a forest full of animals that could end you if they felt like it. Lions, wolves, leopards. Creatures that can hear your heartbeat from across a clearing, smell you from a mile away, and see perfectly in the dark while your eyes are shut. And yet you wake up in the morning, every single time. Why? Seriously, think about this for a second. A sleeping human is just meat. Slow meat, quiet meat, meat that can't fight back or run. You'd think predators would be circling campsites every night like some kind of buffet. But they're not, they almost never are. And the reason isn't one simple thing. It's several layered reasons stacked on top of each other. And together, they paint a picture of a strange, invisible agreement between you and the wild. An agreement older than civilization, older than farming, older than anything we call human history. Let's start with the part that sounds like an ego trip, but is actually just biology. You are terrifying. Not you specifically. Right now you're probably fine, normal, not scary at all. But your species to a predator is genuinely, deeply, evolutionarily frightening. Not because you look scary, you don't have claws, you're not fast, you can't even see in the dark. On paper, you're kind of a disaster as an animal. And yet, in 2019, researchers at UC Santa Cruz ran a study that changed how we understand this. They played recordings of ordinary human voices near mountain lions in California. Just people talking, nothing aggressive. And the mountain lions fled. They fled at the same rate they fled from barking dogs, sometimes faster. These are animals that take down full-grown deer without much trouble. Animals that are, objectively, absolute units of predatory efficiency. And they heard a human voice and ran. It wasn't a one-time fluke either. The same study found something even stranger. Pumas abandoned food they'd already killed. Food they were actively eating just to get away from the sound of a human voice. From a survival standpoint, that's an enormous cost. Walking away from a kill is basically working for free. And they did it anyway. Being near you was worse than being hungry. Biologists have seen the same pattern all over the world. Lions in Africa move less in areas with more human activity. Tigers in India give villages a wide berth, even in the middle of prime hunting territory. Jaguars in the Amazon reroute around places where humans are regularly present. These aren't animals that can't attack. They're animals that decided as a species over thousands of generations that it isn't worth it. And the reason why is one of the more brutal facts in natural history. You have been hunting large predators for so long, you've literally reshaped their genes. Humans have been active hunters for around 2 million years. We hunted mammoths out of existence. Giant sloths, woolly rhinos, saber-toothed cats. Species that survived ice ages vanished within a few thousand years of us arriving. We hunted wolves to near extinction across an entire continent. We wiped mountain lions out of half a continent. We hunted, trapped, and pushed out predators so thoroughly that the ones alive today descend from the ones who were most careful around us. That's not a metaphor, that's natural selection. The predators that got too close to human camps got killed. The ones that kept their distance survived and passed that caution down. Over thousands of generations, that caution became instinct. So when a predator picks up your scent tonight, somewhere deep in its nervous system, a very old alarm goes off. Not a thought, it's not standing there considering human history. Just an old, inherited signal, passed down from every ancestor who survived a close call with your kind. Be careful, don't engage, move on. Now let's talk about your smell. You've probably never thought about it. You're surrounded by other humans all the time, so you've normalized it completely. But to a predator with a nose up to 100,000 times more sensitive than yours, you are broadcasting an enormous, strange chemical signal. Bears smell roughly 7 times better than a bloodhound. Wolves can detect a scent from nearly 2 miles away. Big cats have a special organ that lets them practically taste the air. So when one of them finds you asleep, it's getting a flood of information, and a lot of it is just wrong. You smell like synthetic fabric, like whatever chemicals made your tent and your clothes. You smell like the food you ate hours ago, like soap, shampoo, sunscreen, bug spray. A cocktail of artificial smells that has no match anywhere in the natural world. Underneath all of that, you smell like a primate, which is something, but it's not the thing. Not the deer or the antelope or the rabbit a predator has spent millions of years learning to recognize. A predator's hunting instinct isn't a vague urge to kill anything that moves. It's a finely tuned system, calibrated to exact familiar prey. You don't fit the pattern, you're not in the system. You're an anomaly, and anomalies trigger caution, not aggression. Then there's the campfire effect, one of the most underrated things you ever figured out. Fire produces a near-universal fear response in almost every land animal. It isn't learned, it's innate, ancient. The animals that feared fire in the wild survived wildfires by running. The ones that didn't. It's so deep that lab animals who have never seen fire in their lives still flinch at the smell of smoke. You discovered fire somewhere between 1 and 2 million years ago. And for most of that time, sleeping next to one has been standard procedure. Not just for warmth, it works as a repellent. A campfire broadcasts a message into the dark: something dangerous is here, something that controls fire. You figured that out before farming, before pottery, before writing. Fire first, smart move honestly. Now let's clear up the biggest myth about predators, because movies have gotten this wrong for decades. Predators are not reckless. The fearless killing machine that attacks anything in range, that's fiction. In reality, large predators are extremely careful because they have to be. A lion doesn't have health insurance. A wolf doesn't get sick days. One broken leg, one deep wound, can mean a slow death by starvation. Out there, injuries don't get treated. They heal on their own or they don't. So every decision a predator makes is a survival calculation. Is this worth the risk of injury? Do I even know how this thing behaves? A sleeping human fails that calculation in more than one way. First, unfamiliarity. A predator is most confident attacking prey it already knows by heart. It knows how a deer runs, where its blind spots are when it panics. It does not know how you will respond. You might wake up screaming, you might have tools nearby, you might have other humans who respond fast. That level of uncertainty is a massive red flag to something trying to minimize risk. Second, your size. When you stand up, you're actually pretty big. Upright posture makes you look larger and more imposing than most prey your size. Standing on two legs is what gorillas do to intimidate. It's what bears do when they want to look threatening. A creature that walks like that as its default mode reads as inherently assertive to other animals. Even asleep, your silhouette is unusual in a way that doesn't say easy meal. Third, and maybe most important, why bother? There are almost always easier options nearby. A predator with a healthy home range has access to prey it knows, prey it's comfortable hunting. Going after something strange and unpredictable when there's an easy meal right there makes no sense. The risk-reward math just doesn't work out. Here's something else that rarely comes up. Your sleep is not as deep as you think. You cycle through stages: deep sleep, then lighter stages, including the kind where your brain is actually quite active. And during those lighter stages, your brain stays surprisingly responsive to the world around you. Unfamiliar sounds are far more likely to break through into awareness than familiar ones. Scientists call this the sentinel function of sleep. Even at rest, your brain keeps a partial watch on the environment. A twig snapping, a large animal moving through brush, a shift in smell. These things can pull you toward waking up faster than you'd expect. This isn't an accident. The humans who slept too deeply, who never woke for danger, didn't get to pass that on. The lighter sleepers, the ones who could go from asleep to on their feet in seconds, were the ones who survived. So while you feel completely helpless when you're unconscious, you're actually running a quiet early warning system. Not perfect, not foolproof, but present. And then there's the group factor. You're almost never actually alone when you camp. You travel in groups, sleep in groups. And predators understand group dynamics deeply because their usual prey lives in groups too. A herd animal in the middle of the group is far safer than one at the edge. Predators don't just attack, they hunt for separation, the isolated one, the one that fell behind. A camp full of sleeping humans is a group, and a group that, when one wakes up and makes noise, wakes the rest. That collective response is exactly the kind of chaos a predator is evolved to avoid. Now let's be honest about something, because this wouldn't be fair otherwise. None of this means you're untouchable. The attacks that do happen follow a consistent pattern. Something has broken the normal rules. A predator that's injured and can't hunt its normal prey anymore. A predator that's starving because its habitat and usual food sources are gone. Or a predator that's lost its natural wariness from too much contact with humans, often from being fed by tourists. The lions of Tsavo in Kenya are the most famous example. In 1898, 2 lions killed dozens of railway workers over about 9 months. But these were unusual lions, both maneless. One had severe dental damage that made normal hunting nearly impossible. They weren't representative of lion behavior. They were exceptions created by exceptional circumstances. The Champawat tiger, responsible for hundreds of deaths in India and Nepal in the early 1900s, tells the same story. A hunter later found it had been shot in the mouth at some earlier point, shattering 2 of its teeth. It couldn't hunt its normal prey anymore and got pushed toward the only prey it could still catch. That pattern repeats in almost every documented case. Something broke. The normal calculation changed. The inherited caution got overridden by desperation. Which means the rule holds almost everywhere as long as the predator is healthy and you haven't scrambled the normal signals. Leaving food out, feeding wildlife by hand, letting the fire die when it didn't need to. Now here's the part I saved for last, because it's genuinely the strangest piece of this whole thing. You've been so effective at making the natural world afraid of you, it's now causing problems nobody planned for. That same UC Santa Cruz study found that mountain lion fear cascades through the entire food web. Where mountain lions avoid human activity, deer populations grow. More deer means more grazing, which reshapes the whole landscape. Meanwhile, smaller predators like coyotes and foxes also avoid you, so the rodents they used to control start to multiply. Everything shifts, and it shifts because of you. Because the fear you've generated over millennia radiates outward through the ecosystem like a signal. You change the behavior of predators up and down the food chain without ever touching most of them, just by being the thing evolution told them to fear. The most dangerous animal on the planet is the one that figured out fire before it figured out anything else. The one that reshapes ecosystems not just by what it eats, but by what it makes other things afraid to eat. The one that sleeps light, travels in groups, and carries 10,000 generations of survival in its blood. That's you, that's what you are. So next time you're lying in a tent, listening to the dark beyond the thin nylon wall, and you feel that small pulse of ancient anxiety, that's fine, that feeling kept your ancestors alive. But the thing outside the tent isn't coming in. It knows better.